Welcome to Coffee with the Chair. I am Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. We're going to start our show just a little bit differently today. We just got some news, and my Board of County Commission chair right now has a very long relationship with someone that just passed, so he would like to start the show by saying just a few words. Commissioner Zadofsky, Chair Zadofsky.
So good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Before our taping of the show, I got word that Commissioner Rufus Alexander passed away this morning. He became a mentor of mine. He had asked me for some help in trying to change some of the issues in the north section of town from a crime side, and I was a Crime Watch president at the time. And we created the Neighborhood Enhancement Action Team, and we tried to implement that also where Commissioner Alexander had an interest. And so we worked together. And again, he was my mentor during that time. And this was well before I ever chose to run for office. And having these conversations, he suggested that, why don't you think about running for office? And so anyway, just want to say my condolences to the family.
For many of you, Rufus Butch Alexander has been your commissioner and served your community well. A family-owned business that has served the residents of Fort Pierce for so long. And what a great man. We both got to serve with him for a very long time on the Tourist Development Council, and he truly will be missed, and I hope people can and will remember his contributions to the city of Fort Pierce.
And if I can add in too, is I spent my entire time here on the fire board as well, and he was there before I was. And one of the things that he brought through was his determination to diversify the agency. And when he first got on the fire board, he had worked with then Chief Sizemore, and they created a scholarship for minority individuals to actually be able to go to school to get their EMT, paramedic, firefighter certifications. And it was because of that and my time with him and our working together in District 1, mostly all Fort Pierce, is that we worked together for the diversity inclusion long before the terms were even on the front of everybody's mind. And he was very genuine, and he had a mission. He was never going to be stopped.
No, he was a good man.
Yeah, so thank you.
And thank you, and our hearts go out to his family. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee with the Commissioner. I am, of course, here with Board of County Commission Chair Chris Zadofsky.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a busy month. You and I have done this show in previous years, too. How many years have you served now?
I'm in my 13th.
I thought so.
Yeah.
So
lucky 13.
You guys rotate, so you've done the show with me for very often.
Quite a few times, that's right.
In August, August, when this airs, we typically talk about trim notices, because everybody is receiving them at home, and they start to panic, and they think that it's a bill. It's not a bill, and it is just giving them an idea of what their property taxes may look like. It gives you what you paid last year, what you paid if there's what's going to happen if there's no changes, and then what will happen if there are some changes that are initiated from the various taxing districts.
Right, and that's an important part, is the various taxing districts. The county, St. Lucie County specific, that which is the Board of County Commissioners' responsibility to set in the way of millage, is only about 36%, maybe 37%. But that includes municipal services boundary units where people have lighting districts that they've chosen to vote to do and self-tax. The municipal services taxing unit for South Beach, the property owners who own dunes that are getting some support to renourish those dunes, that's a millage that they're paying out through the county, and it's something they have chosen to participate in. And then there's South Florida Water Management District, there's the erosion control, there's mosquito control.
Yep.
So it's on and on and on and on. But what we control is fine and forfeiture, general fund, and the erosion district. So in that being said, there are a lot of entities that have their hands in the pot, so to speak.
Yes.
And we have made it clear when we came out of the recession, we needed to get to equilibrium. What are the costs of services? What are the needs for the future? And how do we get there and how do we pay for it? In essence, what we have at the county and the taxing side is like a big HOA. We're all responsible for the 600 square
Yep.
miles that we live in, and think of it as a homeowners association.
Yep.
And I assure you that our homeowners association fees for St. Lucie County are much less than most HOAs.
Percentage-wise, they're very much less, yes.
Very much. So anyway, so the previous 5 years, we managed to move the budget to sustainability. We said, once we get to sustainability, we're going to reduce the millage. And we've made our promise. We did that again just yesterday before this taping. And we agreed we were going to lower the millage, and we are
Lowering the millage.
moving forward to a 0.25 reduction in the millage, which is a little over $6.5 million back to the taxpayers. So it's a significant change. It's probably one of the largest millage reductions in the last 10 years by any agency. It wasn't that long ago when Port St. Lucie increased their millage by a full mill in 2015, but they have been able to reduce by only 1/10 this past 5 years. So I suspect they'll probably reduce this year a little bit more and try to get that 1 mil to a better number that they raised back in 2015. So
Yeah.
that said, we continue to move forward, and we are much more efficient. We're more nimble. People are doing more with less, and we're a very efficient agency.
Well, we probably, since the tax trim notices, and that's truth.
In millage?
Yeah. Since those notices are going to be arriving at doorsteps and mailboxes when this is airing, we'll probably have property appraiser Michelle Franklin on next month to further explore exactly everything that's on that trim notice so that you understand it. But it's important for entities like yourself that are charged with a small portion of the jurisdiction of taxes on your property, that you explain your portion. And we're very appreciative whenever there's a millage reduction. And I do suspect, and I've gotten word that, of course, Port St. Lucie is going to do another millage reduction. But people need to understand that even when you're homesteaded, with our property values going through the roof, because we have a negative inventory. You're a realtor.
Yes.
We have a negative housing inventory, so people are paying cash quickly for houses if they're available. And so that sends our values through the roof, which means even if you're homesteaded, you may have an increase of taxable value of your home of up to 3%.
That's right, and that's the important part, is that even after the recession, when values went low and the state added the extra homestead exemption in, we're still at that number. So there was an artificial reduction of 9% in 2009-10, and so we're still at 9% below that number. And then you start there, if you put the new homestead in, then you add in that you're only going to move 3% a year after that. So you already have an immediate reduction from those situations that happened in 2009-10 in the legislature. So, I mean,
but on their bill, it may not be, it's not exactly a 0.25 reduction in your taxes over last year.
Correct.
Because your housing value, what you're taxed on, has gone up, but they're going to tax you that less percentage of your value. So it may not mean you're going to see a huge reduction in your property taxes, but anytime it doesn't go up by 3%, I'm happy.
Well, there it is, and that is so true. Some of the other challenges that are in this is that when people look at the trim notice, they're looking at what they think is from the county. Well, it is from the county because we're the agency that puts it all together through the tax collector and the property appraisers.
And poor property appraiser Michelle Franklin, they think she's the one that did it all. The fire district, everything.
But there's components in that trim notice in your tax bill that are not associated with millage. There's a number of assessments that come through for water and sewer. There are the community development districts, that's one that really sneaks up on people. You know, they'll buy a house in a community where property owners associations exist, and while the developer developed the property and put the cost of the roads and drainage and water and sewer and all of that into the community development district,
Right.
that then has to be paid over time. It goes along with what your property is. And
Yes.
so while you're paying one way or the other, but it looks like it's a tax from the government agencies,
Yes.
and it's not.
It is, and so that's very common in communities, a tradition where they have a lot of developed, planned communities. You may see what they call in jargon CDD, which is an additional tax that's passed on to you. You mentioned earlier, if your neighborhood gets together and says we want street lamps, and then that also can be an assessment put on the people that have agreed on having those street lamps, because they're not provided by the city. You have to agree as a community, and then it is assessed on your taxes. Also in the city of Port St. Lucie, you're going to see trash collection assessment. Do you do that in the county
Yes,
as
it's
well?
and that's I'm glad you brought that up, because people say, "Oh, I'm being taxed to death on my trash collection." It's a service,
Yeah,
and
you're just paying for the service.
It's a different thing, but the issue is we save over $1 million in sending out bills. So in order to keep the cost of service lower, we put it on the tax bill so it could be collected, and through their tax collection. But there's also a lien if someone chooses not to pay at all. Then you get your money back, so the other taxpayers aren't going to pick up your tab.
Your
know.
bill, because you decided not to pay your trash
Right.
bill, or and I do like that model better. I think people should understand that model is when it is a tax assessment on your property, it typically is accrued in your mortgage payment, and so you don't really even realize you're paying that. It doesn't hurt so bad. But if I send out a bill every month for trash collection, how much money is going to be spent trying to collect all that, doing the billing, all that kind of great
Yeah,
stuff?
the last number I saw was over $1 million.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
crazy.
when you break down the $278 annually for trash collection, it works out to be about $1.70 per collection. So that's probably one of the most value
Added, elements
and now
of
we're
doing
seeing-
it this way.
And now we're seeing too the challenges that they can't hire anybody, the truckers, the people to actually collect the trash, and so they're having trouble. There's no getting around it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that everybody is frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
You and the city both have the same vendor for trash collection, and you guys are getting the complaints from residents who are frustrated, and so you're frustrated. But our trash collection agency, Waste Pro, is also frustrated because the pandemic has taken a really very difficult toll on their ability to hire. And that's not just trash collections, it is everything.
yeah.
I say to people, service industries are hurting very badly for employees. So if you are out and your fast food takes a little bit longer than fast, or your server seems a little overwhelmed, just be happy they showed up, because there are so many that are not.
The real big challenge for us, and we are frustrated, and the easy thing you would think was, well, let's just go out, put it out for bid, and get somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, Waste Management, Republic, pick a trash collection agency.
It
They're
doesn't
all
matter.
having the exact same issue, and so if we were to put something out for bid, my absolute fear is it'll come back to 2 to 3 or 4 times higher, because you're going to have to pay that much more for someone to get on that truck and pick up your trash and deal with all that stuff
Yeah.
that nobody wants to do. And so we learned the hard way what essential workers really are.
And the inner workings of government, and people don't realize that. Why don't you get somebody else to do it if Waste Pro can't do it? Well, there's nobody that can do it. This is a national issue, the ability to hire. And if anybody did give you a contract, they are going to inflate it, as you said, 2 and 3 times, so that they're able to pay an exorbitant amount to people to get them to work, because we're all having the same problem. And that means we are going to pay 2 or 3 times on our tax bill or on our utility bill. So.
Well, the one thing we have with Waste Pro, as does the city of Port St. Lucie, is a contract.
Yep.
And within that contract, we have, I think it's 7 years, And so they're stuck with the contract and the value that we said we would pay.
So they're
except
frustrated.
for the CPI increase, which
Yeah.
I think is like 0.2 or 2.78 this next year that I read on Port St. Lucie's increase. But again, if we were to send it back out without that contract, it would be much greater.
And, honestly, they've been going above and beyond their contract requirements for pickup, and that is also hurting them. So there are contract requirements for size of disposal, what kind of disposal, and for many years we were all very lucky and fortunate to have Waste Pro just pick it up and throw it on the truck.
Yeah, that's right.
But now we are going to have to tell our residents we need to adhere to this contract because there's been issues of them being able to go above and beyond. And we can't require them to do that because they're having a hard enough time getting what they need to done. But the county did open up the dump for them, yes?
Yes. Yeah, we have longer hours. We've even gone so far as to place dumpsters in neighborhoods that are having additional challenges. So again, we are trying everything humanly possible. And Waste Pro, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for our customers, the taxpayers, because when trash sits out in this heat for too long, it's not a pretty sight. So
right now, there's no winners.
no, none at all.
But yeah, I'm glad we talked about it though.
Yeah, so let's get back to the millage rates and so on and so forth, and what we've collected and so on. If you take a look at the fine and forfeiture, that's the part that the county works with, our ad valorem budget. So if you were to take a look at 2007 and go all the way through to 2022, if you were to take inflation and the cost of doing business, we should be charging $819. But because what we've been able to accomplish, we're only charging $550. So it's a pretty incredible situation, not to mention we have gained over 110,000 people since 2007. And we were at 335,000 people. And our total budget overall is only $604 million. And give you an idea what the budget was in 2010 was $591. So it's not very much in the way of, it's not even remotely touching 3% a year through that process. I had to bring the paper because
it's a lot of numbers.
It's right off the press from last night. And so the value change, okay, for Port St. Lucie was 13%. That's city specific. Unincorporated county, 9.4%. City of Fort Pierce, 8.6%, and the village, 4.9%. And so what that does is it equates to $25.7 billion total in ad valorem value today in taxation. In 2006, it was $25.4 billion. So we're just barely now in 2021, 2022, reaching the numbers that we were in 2006. So it's a pretty interesting, review of what's going on in the community in taxation in Florida. And so one of the things is taxable value per capita. Mm-hmm. So there is the highest county in the state of Florida.
Oh, I think we could guess.
The value is $387,645.
Miami-Dade?
Monroe
Broward?
County.
Monroe. Oh, the Keys.
Monroe County.
The Keys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have the lowest millage. Their lowest millage.
Yeah.
So,
well, tax dollar.
hold on, let's get there.
Yeah. You know what they are living off of?
Yes. So the taxes per capita for St. Lucie County are $73,000. There are homes in Port St. Lucie and on the island that are probably in the $450,000 range. There may be $1 million on South Beach and some of the single-family homes.
For sure.
But the average over 335,000 people is $73,000. The statewide average is $98,000. So that'll give you an idea where we fall in values. And so when you look at the aggregate millage rates, the highest is 13 mills, and the lowest is 3.34. And the 3.34 is
The Keys.
correct.
Yeah, because they're living off tourism dollars.
That's right. But the interesting part is, from a taxable side, the highest is Martin County at $1,404.
Well, I think every realtor will tell you that.
Well, it's interesting when people say, you hear the people, the naysayers say, oh, we're the highest taxed in the whole state. We may have the higher millage rate. I think it'll change this year.
But
the
our
fact
property
is, but the
values.
values are less, and so when you make the equation work, our actual per capita is about $640. The state average is $677.
Right.
So we're just below the state average in per capita taxation. So it's all about how you read the numbers, and if you want to make an argument, you can make it sound whatever you want. But the reality of things are there are people around us that are paying a whole lot more taxes per capita.
And I think that it's important for people to know you're going to pay one way or the other. So you paid less for your house, right? It's the cost of living is much cheaper here. Our housing is a lot cheaper, but your millage might be a little bit higher. But actual dollars paid is still going to be less than, say, Broward County, where the housing value is much higher. So 10% of this amount or 10% of this amount,
Well-
you're paying more,
Well, let's
when
take
your
a-
house is worth that much.
Let's take a look at a statistic that came through the Economic Development Council. 60,000 people a day were traveling from Port St. Lucie to Palm Beach to go to work.
60%.
60%, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so-
60% of our residents.
So let's think about this. Why would they drive from Port St. Lucie to Palm Beach to go to work? Well, the jobs are there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's first and foremost. But it's a lot cheaper to live here and drive 2 hours or 2.5 hours a day in traffic, putting yourself at risk on 95 or the Turnpike.
Yeah, which nowadays
which
is
is
like-
ridiculous.
yeah.
And so now that we have the jobs coming this way, just in the last 6 months, we've added 6,000 new jobs. 6,000 new jobs. And that number's probably low off the top of my head, but it's pretty amazing as to what we're doing here today.
And credit to the EDC. We have really capitalized on a movement to get enterprise back here in the United States, and our EDC is very competitive in trying to get that done for us. And when I first started working at the chamber, I think 78% of our residents were leaving the community. We've got it down to 60, which is good. But every time somebody leaves to go to work in a different county, they are spending a portion of their paycheck in those counties, and it's not getting circulated here. So that's what we're trying to stop the bleeding in that way by bringing jobs here.
Yeah, and so it's just it's an amazing thing. Every year we go through this process. I can tell you that one of the reasons why I ran in 2006 was because of the taxes, but
Yeah.
it was also because I didn't have a home. I had built my dream home, so to speak, on the beach, and I thought it was reasonable. $269,000 is what I paid for it back in 2004, and my taxes when I started were $1,600 annually. Well, I thought that was a pretty good deal. Well, within 4 years, the property went to over $500,000 in value, and my taxes went to almost $10,000.
Oh, and you didn't have it
I
homesteaded?
didn't have it homesteaded.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, so I was still new, and I didn't understand all this stuff. So that's
Yeah.
why I try to explain to people. I had the same issue back then. I didn't know and didn't learn and invest myself in educating myself when I was a brand new resident as to how the taxation works, how a homestead works, how I could actually transfer my homestead exemption.
Yes.
So all of that's very
stuff.
important.
Yeah. So you learn from, I bought it at $269, but I didn't have a homestead, which means I couldn't get a 3% cap on my taxable
Right.
value. So if it went up $250,000, you were now paying taxes on that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Ouch.
yeah. Well, the really sad part about it all is the following year the market crashed. My house went from the nice big value down to $93,000.
Oh.
Yeah. So it took me probably 10 years to even get it. I still never even got to the value.
Still
that I
working
paid
on
for it. So.
Well, we're running out of time, so
Already?
yes,
We
I
just
know.
got here.
I know. Well, we get to talking, and then
Yeah.
we don't realize how much time. But he's already given me my time count.
Good.
So we'll bring Michelle on, Michelle Franklin, our property appraiser, next month, and really dive into the specifics of the trim notice and the columns and all that kind of good stuff.
And while we'll do the show, that's great. But individuals who have really a challenge in understanding it, mostly from people coming here from somewhere else, make an appointment.
Yeah.
Their professionals are available, and they'll walk you through it, talk you through it, and let you understand how it all works.
Very good. Anything else you want to make sure people are aware of or are happening that?
We are in the throes of summer. It is very, very hot outside. Please take care of yourselves. Hydrate, and make sure your kids are hydrated as well. They like to run around and get in the pool, but it's very, very important that we stay hydrated and watch for that sun and sunburns. So.
Yeah, the heat is particularly brutal, I think, this year. But we do need to stay hydrated. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we've covered a lot today. It's a strange time. We want people to stay safe and stay hydrated, as you mentioned. Our thoughts are with the Alexander family,
Yes.
the extended Alexander family. I don't know if I don't know any. I mean, I've met so many cousins. And
There are definitely a long line of Alexander in the family.
they
That's
are
absolutely true.
rooted in this community,
are.
and Butch will be sorely missed.
Yes.
So I will see you next month.
I'll be here.
All right.
God
I want
willing,
to
and
thank.
the sun will rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank A&G Pools, Art and Sandy Allen, just godsends for this community, and of course Travis Leonard and the staff here at the county for putting this together.
Thanks, everybody.